Welcome back to Sheffield Live TV, talking Sheffield on this Thursday night with a sporting flavour. I suppose nominally it's my programme, but there are times when I do wonder. I feel the odd man out this evening on my own programme. I'm flanked by, over here, one of the most famous beards in football, John Brayford. Actually, he was the forerunner of the fashion trend, or one of the forerunners. All the players who've got beards since him, he's a prototype. Toby Perkins, I don't know where his beard's come from, MP for Chesterfield. It's a recent addition.
It is, yeah, just since this summer. I didn't have a shave for 2 or 3 days on holiday, and I thought, well, let's give it a crack, let's see what it looks like. And the jury's still out.
Is it? You got accused of something, though, didn't you, by colleagues?
Oh, thanks for a minute. Well, yeah, there were a few who said, oh, you've only got that for Corbyn. But I said, no, it's John Brayford.
Right. OK, and a few grey flecks there. I'm just thinking in a few years' time, very, very seasonal, Mr. Perkins. And you're supposed to be on my side.
Yeah, unfortunately
Gregg.
not. I'm going to be clean-shaven and all that kind of stuff and wear a grey jacket, but I'm not, I'm sorry.
Problem is, I tipped him off a couple of weeks ago that John Brayford's going to be in it, and you've not shaved since then.
No, but come on, I had one before and I got enough earache off my mum for it. And then, to be fair, I got back from Latvia the other day and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to.
What were you doing in Latvia, by the way?
It was a stag do, so it's not. We won't talk about it on TV.
Is that a venue for stag do?
Incredible, yeah, incredible. There was booked through a stag do company there, yeah, called Last Night of Freedom or something like that. So yeah, it was very good. Highly recommend it, Alan.
And yet, you must have bored your mates, because I had a tweet from you saying that you were going to watch this last week's programme.
There's a bit of Wi-Fi in the hotel, so I stuck it on. International viewers, you see.
Yeah, grateful to have you there. Right, so we're going to talk about. Hey, sorry to the guy on Twitter earlier today who said, "Oh, you're not going to start talking about beards." We've done it. That's it. Finish.
It's out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll start off. We're going to talk about Sheffield Wednesday, obviously, because it's a very heavily biased show towards the Blades. Well,
it is, I'm sorry. Got a star guest from Sheffield Wednesday lined up, honest.
OK, look forward to that one, I'm sure. Well, Sheffield Wednesday, they're having a really good season so far, I'm sure we'll agree. We'll talk about them in depth first, and then we'll come back to all the other local sport after we've had a chat to these two as well. Well, point off the playoffs, they beat Huddersfield last week after going a goal down. Lucas João and Kieran Lee with the goals. And they've got Stoke in the quarterfinals of the League Cup on Tuesday. And they beat Arsenal, of course, having a fantastic season. Today, they've signed a Liverpool youngster on loan, Will Marsh, who, I don't know about you, but he reminds me of a Connor Cody type player when I've been watching YouTube videos of him. So I don't know if you know anything about him or not, but he's...
you come across him, no?
I've never come across him.
He's only 19 years old, in fairness. But he could be that sort of player. Plays in a similar position, models his game on Steven Gerrard. So he could be a really good signing for Wednesday.
I was interested in your pronunciation of the striker.
Absolutely.
Lucas.
Well, there's been a lot made of that, and Rob Staten at Radio Sheffield, I know that he's been getting a lot of stick for saying it João is how it's actually pronounced rather than Lucas João. But if you want to pick me up on that, feel free. I'm on Twitter, so you can hammer me on there if you want.
I'm sitting on the fence, but I've got Rob lined up for a future show, and we'll iron it out there. Lucas, an outstanding striker. I was talking to David Hurst, I'm sorry about name dropping, about him this week, and Hursty reckons that this guy's got everything.
Well, he is a very, very good footballer. From what you've seen, he's scoring goals, but it's not just that, he's also creating as well, isn't he? And he looks busy all the time. He's a handful for the defenders. He's probably a little bit too good for the Championship, if I'm honest. But Wednesday, they've already declared their intent. They said that they're definitely not going to sell him in January. We'll believe that one when we see it.
I believe it.
Especially if we get... Well, the thing is...
Seriously, I believe
they've made some great signings. Gary Hooper, of course, still yet to get off the mark, but they've got other strikers. They've had 13 goal scorers this season, Sheffield Wednesday. You've got to remember there's Forestieri, there's Nui, there's Matthias, there's Sugu. They've all chipped in with goals as well. And they're averaging 1.3 goals a game. So that is a pretty good stat for someone who just want the 1 point off the playoffs.
Good stat for you. You've done some research.
I have indeed.
You've had the slide rules out. Not slept last night or anything.
Absolutely.
Very good. Lucas João can climb and head it. Have you seen him, John?
I've only seen the highlights, what's been on TV and stuff, and I've seen a couple of his goals, and yeah, he does look a threat at that level.
Would you fancy marking him?
any day of the week.
They're in the back pocket.
He's fast, great footwork, can shoot with either foot from what I've seen. Doesn't seem to lack for anything, just a bit of experience in the English game. But you raised the question, he's going to be worth multiples of what Wednesday paid, which was around 2 million or so. As for commitment to keeping, I'd be amazed if they sold him in January. But he's going to be worth multiples of that, and the only surefire way is to get promoted and be in the Premier League. Same with any great talent, really, Toby, isn't it? But before we go back to James, Sheffield United have had players that they've had to sell over the years. Had they been in the Premier League, they wouldn't have been under that pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes a big difference. I'm sure Harry Maguire had sort of give it 3 years to get out of his division. You know, I think if they could have gone up, maybe he'd have stayed, Matt Loughton before him. And, you know, I think the truth is that every club, if Man United have to sell Ronaldo, every club's a selling club. The question is, how early do you have to sell? I think frustration was when they signed players like Nick Blackman, and he's there 6 months and they're cashing in already. I think that's when fans really have the right to say, well, this is, you know, where's the ambition? But players like Jamie Murphy who want to move on, who've given it 2 or 3 years, you know, if you don't move on, you lose them, and then you've got to rebuild to replace them.
Hard to stop, isn't it? Really, Jamie Murphy, you wouldn't have wanted to lose him. He was a match-winning player for you, but when a big bid comes in from a championship club, hard, eh?
Of course, yeah. And Jamie was a great lad down here, and he would never be one to kick up a fuss or anything. But it's a player's drive. He wants to play at the highest possible what he could do, and you see Brighton are doing really well. I think because he had done so well down here, the fans didn't want to lose him and stuff. But like you say, every player has a price, and you try to rebuild with that money and bring players through.
And players can drive deals as well as clubs with fees, because he clearly wanted that move for his international aspiration, just as you kind of drove the deal to come here, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. And like I say, players sometimes they kick up a big fuss because they throw the toys out the pram, but Jamie wasn't like that really. Yes, he wanted to play as high as he could, and I think he deserved that chance, and because he'd been a really good player for us.
Yeah. And he's also looking for that Scotland call-up as well, and you think how many players get called up for, you know, internationally, particularly from the home nations in League One? Not many. So that was, I mean, you can't begrudge a player like that, can you?
No, of course, and like I say, he'll have aspirations to play for his country, which is a major honour for himself, and if that's what drives him, then I aren't going knocking for that.
Sheffield Wednesday at Blackburn this weekend. Paul Lambert, first game, isn't it? Blackburn manager, first home game anyway.
It is absolutely an inspired appointment, I think, actually. I think that's a good, one of the first sensible decisions we've seen made by Blackburn. But that's could cause some concern for Wednesday fans. Whether they'll rest any players ahead of that League Cup game against Stoke on Tuesday night at the Britannia remains to be seen, doesn't it? What do you think? Do you think they'll be resting any players?
Well, it's hard to second guess Carlos Carvalho, if I've pronounced that one correctly. Very, very hard to second guess. What the clue perhaps was that he picked near enough his strongest team against Arsenal when people weren't expecting that. And I've got a feeling he will do that again, because Sheffield Wednesday have got a major opportunity here, even to win a trophy.
Absolutely,
looking at it.
yeah, absolutely.
And you've got to really take that. Interesting one, Joe Wildsmith's been in goal and has played very, very well. Is he going to kind of be fair to Wildsmith, or, as I suspect, say, well, actually, my senior keeper's Kieran
we're in the quarters now.
We're in the quarterfinals. But
we'll see about that. We'll carry on with the rest of the roundup, then we'll get through this quickly and we'll get chatting back to these gents as well. I'm sure Sheffield United fans won't need reminding about the loss on Tuesday night against Shrewsbury. We've got a tough away trip to Barnsley on Saturday, early kick-off, 12:15. There's only 3 wins in 14 now, and Nigel Adkins says there's going to be a shake-up on the horizon. Ruthless, I think, was the word that he used as well. I'm sure John will be touching on that as well as the show goes on. Sheffield FC lost 3-0 on Tuesday night, and they welcome Leek Town to their home ground in Dronfield on Saturday. Pelham FC, they drop out their top 6 for the first time this season after a draw on Tuesday night, 0-0 at Selby, but they travel to Shirebrook on Saturday to try and make amends for that one. Sheffield Steelers, well, they welcome Coventry to Ice Sheffield tomorrow, and then they take on Notts on Sunday. Notts Panthers, of course, the local rivals. You can't really call it that. Anyway, whatever it'll be a really feisty game of ice hockey on Sunday. They're looking to get back to winning ways. Sheffield Sharks, great win the previous week against previously unbeaten Leicester, and they take on Glasgow tomorrow at the English Institute of Sport. It's a 7:15 tip-off, so get down there. It's going to be busy around that area of town, particularly with the Steelers game on as well. So just look out for the traffic and try and get there early if you're going to some of those fixtures. Well, a Sheffield double in rugby union last week. Tigers dominate that league, National 3 North, 64-0 win versus Burnage last weekend, while Sheffield Club beat Birkenhead 19-12 in a closely fought game. A last-minute try, I believe, to take that one away from 12-all, and that's to extend their run to 4 wins in a row. And we'll go to individuals as well. Nick Matthew, who bumped into Matt Fitzpatrick earlier in the gym at Hallamshire, he's looking to bounce back after his quarter-final loss in the World Championships. He didn't even recognise Matt Fitz because he didn't have his contact lenses in. Not sure if you've seen that on Twitter.
How can a star golfer not be recognised?
I don't know. He just looks like a scrawny
You had
kid,
lunch with him today,
yeah. He won't mind me saying that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got to talk about Danny Willett as well as Matt Fitzpatrick last week. DP World Championship in Dubai, the culmination of the race to Dubai in the European Tour golf season. Top 10 finishes for them both. Matt Fitz, joint Rookie of the Year winner, and of course Danny Willett second to Rory McIlroy in the race to Dubai standings. Not a bad year then for them too, was it really?
Excellent.
So that's everything.
All right, mate.
No
Thanks very
problem
much.
at all.
Thank you, James. Stay on for the rest. Rugby union, and you mentioned Sheffield Tigers there with a great victory. You played for them, Toby.
Yeah, played with the Tigers for 5 or 6 years, and happy times. I started at Chesterfield and played at Derbyshire a bit, and also went over to Tigers. We were in the Yorkshire Leagues then, about maybe three or four divisions below what they are now, but had some great times there and played with Matt Root, dad of Joe Root, and who I saw just the other week. So yeah, some happy times at the Dormer.
Yeah, is it possible to have happy times up at Dormore in the middle of winter?
Well, you can have some pretty cold times. I remember playing once up there in January, and normally any game of rugby or football, you're cold before the game starts, but when the game starts, you forget about it. And I remember actually playing there once and actually feeling cold during the game, despite having run around for 50 odd minutes. That's when you know it's pretty bad up there.
That doesn't surprise me. I live not very far from there, and boy, is that cold. It's about nearly 1,000 feet up there.
It is.
That ground there. Character building anyway, Toby,
Indeed.
for a politician, yeah?
Yeah, that's the spirit.
Because you have to be combative. We're going to go back to John Brayford in a minute, talk about Sheffield United. But you'll identify with the football industry because yours is rough and tumble as well, isn't it? Getting knots.
I think so to an extent. I mean, both the election period, which is, elections are a contest, and you have a strategy, and you want to sort of set out and make sure you get the best result you possibly can. And then when you're actually there in the chamber, there's a sort of a serious job of work to be done. You facing, next week we're going to be deciding whether we've got a war in Syria. We've been this week debating whether or not the country spends many billions of pounds on new nuclear weapons. So you've got a serious job of work to do, but you've also got a job for the Labour Party to try and get one over on the opposition. And
it's theatre as well, like football. It's theatre, and some people watch it for entertainment, don't they?
I'm not sure whether they need to get out a bit more, but no, it is. I mean, you go into the House of Commons, particularly big Commons events like Prime Minister's Questions, the budget, and there's an atmosphere there that just it's hard to replicate.
That must be. I mean, players going onto a field, it's nerve-wracking, big crowd or whatever. Your first time in the House of Commons chamber and asking a question.
Yeah, well, it was. The first week I was there, I happened to get drawn out of the hat to ask David Cameron a question, his first ever Prime Minister's Questions, and I think once you've done that in the first one, from then on it's pretty easy. But I think the lesson with the House of Commons is if you answer a question in the same spirit in which it's asked, and so if people are being sort of constructive and wanting to have a serious discussion, then you respond in that way, and if people are being more chippy, then sometimes you give a bit back.
Well, giving a bit back, it swings both ways in terms of you're in a public opinion business in many ways in politics, because public opinion can swing from day to day, and it's just the same with football, isn't it? You know, you get 2 wins, John, and all this doom and gloom will just disappear, won't it?
Yeah, of course, and that's part and parcel of football, and you take the rough with the smooth, really, and you can have 10 people who've watched the same game and everyone's got a different opinion on it, which I think makes football great, really, and it's nice to have different opinions and all that sort of business.
It must have been on Tuesday night, and I was at a different game, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, the scores coming through from Bramall Lane. That must have been difficult for you to watch, as a player who wants to be back on the field.
Yeah, I'd like to say it was a one-off, but it shouldn't happen as a one-off anyway, sort of thing, and the lads know that, and the lads on that pitch on Tuesday night aren't the lads I go to work with every day. They were lacking in confidence once like the third and the fourth goal went in, and yeah, you've got to be stood up and be counted for, especially at Bramall Lane, and obviously the fans want us to do really well, really, and they voiced their opinion Tuesday when they saw us not doing what was expected, but it wasn't a nice night Tuesday, let's say.
No,
I mean, I was just going to say, I mean, you've experienced both sides of Bramall Lane's atmosphere, haven't you? You've experienced the elation of beating Charlton in that cup quarter-final and going to Wembley, and obviously scoring the goal. And then obviously you experienced nights like Tuesday night yourself. I know obviously you were there, but not on the pitch. Would you say that it's one of the most, not fickle, I don't want to say fickle, would you say it's one of the most hostile places at times to be, and it can swing that much? You know, for example, at Derby, can it change as much as that?
I'm not sure. I'd like to be hostile to the opposite team, really, but that's down to us to get the crowd on side from the first minute. And like you say, the cup games and some games where I've been down there, it's been absolutely unbelievable. But that's what you get with playing for a big club, really. You got to take it on the chin and have the confidence to still do what you're trying to do and carry on from there, irrelevant of the crowd, because yeah, we love it when they get behind us, so you can't start moaning when they're moaning. So
that takes personality, doesn't it? And I think the feeling of a few of us watching has been that that's something that somehow Sheffield United lacked, that overt leadership in there. Is that something that you can help to bring? Because you're a very outgoing character yourself.
Hopefully. I wouldn't say I was a massive talker or anything, but I think you can lead by examples in different formats, really, and I think if you see somebody else doing well in your team, you want to strive to help them, or if somebody else is doing poorly, you want to drag them through. And I think if you've got that sort of like lads who you want to be in the trenches with, then you won't go far wrong, and I think that's the attitude we need to take.
By example, he lifted the crowd on occasion, didn't he, with those runs down the right-hand side, just a surge. Just something like that in a game, Toby, can change the whole atmosphere, can't it?
It can, and I think, you know, this is when Nigel Adkins really going to earn his money. Managing is probably a reasonably easy job when you're winning every week, but now it's hard. And, you know, I think we all felt on Tuesday night they went ahead, well, maybe this is it, maybe we'll start to sort of see it turn around. And, you know, it was a massive shock to see the goals going in the other end. I think that it does need some character. I mean, Nigel Adkins has come in, he's got a lot of players there, may well be players that, frankly, he'd like to move on, but it's not easy to do. You know, the players you want to keep are the ones that other people want to buy, and the players you want to move on, you know, not always easy to find other people to buy them. But you know, he gets paid to sort this out, and John's right, as one of the players can turn it round. But ultimately, you know, he's got to put in place a team that gets results. That's what managers live and die for.
The impression, by reputation, is that Sheffield United have got a lot of good players. Some experienced players who somehow are just punching way below their weight.
Yeah, of course, and like you say, on paper we've probably got the best squad in the league, really, but you don't get results on paper, really, and it's one of them environments, really, where like you say, like people come to us and it's their cup final, really, but we've got to go the other way where it's our cup final too. We can't just let teams come and have a go at us. We've got to start having a go back at them, and even be 10%, 20% better out fighting them, out working them, everything. We've got to be even greater on them levels to get the results we need.
I do wonder sometimes with United that I think there's a lot of players there, and I don't in any way include John in this because he is an inspiration, but there's a lot of players that have come from a higher level down, and I think when I look at the Sheffield United sides that have done really well, it's been filled with players to whom coming to Sheffield United was a massive thing. And you look at Dave Bassett's side back in the 90s, it was filled with players for whom this was the biggest club they were going to play. Now I suspect there's a number of players at Bramall Lane at the moment that will leave at some point and will probably not play in front of 20,000 fans again, and they might look back on their time here and wish maybe they'd made more of it, but they've come from a higher level, and I think not all of them have got John's sort of sense of passion and identity with the club, and you know, maybe you see players like Matty Doan come from Rochdale, and you really get the sense that it means the world to him, and you know, with the greatest respect, you don't always get entirely the same experience for some of the others. I wouldn't expect John to comment on that, they're his teammates, but that's how I see it as a fan, and I might be wrong.
No, I agree. I think like we've got lads here now, and we've got an opportunity, and we've got grasp that. Whether even players who have played at a higher level championship or even higher above that, there's not many teams who are bigger than Sheffield United really. Whether yes, they might be in a higher league or whatsoever, but it's just the stature of the club, and we need to get to that level where we need to grasp this opportunity and take it forward really, because the club can go forward with the stature and the fan base, and it's up to the players on the pitch to make the fans proud of us really. And I think once we start slowly getting that back really, I think that's when we can go forward.
The gap is what, 10 or so points on second place as we I've stopped looking because I know it was getting bigger and bigger on second place, which, you know, this season nobody's talked about playoffs. The club's history, you almost don't want to be in those. Top two, can it still be done? Top two?
Yeah, of course it can still be done, but there's a lot of hard work that needs to go into to get it done, but that's our aim, top two places to get up automatic really, but there's only a certain amount of time before the results need to start turning, and that needs to start on Saturday really. We can't keep going into these games and letting them pass us by. We need to start picking the points up as soon as we can.
You will give everybody a shot in the arm just by being back. Whenever you're back, whether it's this weekend or the following game, that will give everybody a shot in the arm. But it's always unfair to expect too much of a player who's been out, as you have for, 5 months since the end of last season. Does that concern you at all, that, you know, that people are going to expect you to hit the ground running, which is a difficult thing?
Yeah, I think if you want to be a leader and a character, then you need to step up to the plate really. And I think you mentioned it before, like being some sort of iconic figure. Yeah, it's okay saying that, but you won't be an iconic figure for the right reasons, and that's out on the football pitch really, and lead by example on the pitch, and hopefully you can drag people through in that sense. And that's my tunnel view, the way to look at it. If I can help my teammates in any way and drive them on, then that's great things, but we all need that vision where we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, talking about the leader thing, this is a question pretty much on behalf of a lot of Blades fans as well. There's been lots of, there's no like leader, you know, there's no like Michael Doyle at the moment, and I don't expect you to comment on that, but you know, when you come back, will you be trying to be, you know, roll your sleeves up and be that guy?
I think I do that anyway, really, but it's about my team who I step out on that pitch with, and like I say, if it can help them in any shape or form, then it's gonna be beneficial to the team, the squad, the fans, everything really. And if that's the case, that it's one of them where you roll your sleeves up. But I don't want to be them people where you roll your sleeves up and start shouting at people just so people can see. I think there's a lot of people who do all that business at different football clubs, and yeah, it's great for people to see, but you aren't really helping your team in that way. I think you do it more so by leading by example on the pitch and helping your teammates and people who look up to you in the dressing room, because if you've got your teammates' respect and everything, that they'll go out and do the best for you.
It's about action rather than words now, even though we've used a lot of words in the past hour, and it's flown by as usual. If you've missed any of this, there is an opportunity to see it again. There's a repeat at 11 p.m. It remains for me to thank you for being there, to thank James Gregg for being here, John Brayford, and also Toby Perkins. It's been wonderful entertainment. We might even retire to the pub now for more. We'll see you next week. Bye.